Growing on You Live Season 11 is sponsored by All In Merchandise. All In Merch is your source for the finest band merch. You know, Acacia Strain, all sorts of different bands from early hardcore to up-and-coming bands. All In is your go-to. Each item is developed with the artists and decorated with care in upstate New York, you know, by folks who love the hardcore scene and who love, you know, the music and the scene, you know, collectively. Proceeds are also issued directly to the artists, which is absolutely awesome. Order at allinmerch.com. Support your favorite band. Three, all right. 2, 1. What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, the Lo-Fi Horror Guy. Welcome to another episode of the Lo-Fi Horror Guys Growing on You Live. Today, I'm going to be having on my dude, Thomas Erak. I cannot wait. My dude from Fall of Troy, Just Like Vinyl, Pushover, most recently The Shoreline. We're going to dig into all this, and I cannot wait. I cannot be more excited. So let's get this bad boy started.
Boom, send request. Let's see here. Thomas, how's it going, dude?
How's it going, man?
Oh, man, I am so excited. Thank you so much, first and foremost, for your time today. This is so sick.
I'm glad we could link up this time. Sorry about last time, man. That was my bad.
No, not a problem. I understand things happen sometimes, and what's important is that we're here right now, man. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, so here on Growing on You Live, basically I have a couple of icebreaker questions first and foremost, and then the remainder of the interview is about you and your craft. You know, the body of the interview there is all about your different bands and such, and then I have one finale that I wrote just for you. So if you're all comfy, my dude, we're going to get right into it.
I am.
All right. Let me ask you, as far as my wife and I do some traveling, if we were coming through Mukilteo, what would be a local restaurant or food staple that we would have to try that's a favorite of yours?
Definitely the Diamond Knot, like brewery and restaurant. It's right down like on the water in Mukilteo. It's like the spot.
Okay.
It's pretty much where everybody goes for their 21st birthday. Like if you grow up in Mukilteo and stuff like that. But they got some badass food, man, and like some they brew all their own beer and stuff like that.
Oh shit! Okay, what's something that you go to that's always, you know, if you don't know what to try, that, you know, that's your go-to.
They have like these stones they bring out to your table that you can cook like your food on that are super hot. So you can get like a cheesesteak and you cook your meat like yourself, like at your table. It's kind of crazy. Okay. Yeah, that's good. And the Hefeweizen's pretty good too. They make it with bananas.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Holy shit! All sorts of different creations there. That sounds pretty sick.
All kinds. I'm not a like beer guy either, so that's saying a lot, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Nice. I love that. Now, you know, with COVID and everything slowing so many things down, I wanted to ask you, as far as if you had the opportunity to make a dream side project for just one album, who would be the other members in this band?
Oh man. I did one of these once. Is this like currently living or ever or what?
Whatever's easier. Because sometimes I'd say, you know, dead, and people are like, oh, fuck. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be crazy. I don't know, man. I've always wanted to link up on a project with Thomas Pridgen.
Oh, okay.
We're buddies, and we've talked about working on an album together, but it has not come to fruition yet. And back in the day, when Fall of Troy was touring with Number 12 Looks Like You, we always wanted to do a split where we covered one of each other's songs, then did a song together, like as one band. So,
okay,
I'll go with that.
Damn, that'd be sick. That'd be amazing, man. It's been some years since I've heard the name The Number 12 Looks Like You.
Yeah, we just played with them like last year before all the COVID stuff happened.
Oh, really? Okay, nice.
Yeah.
You know, one band too. It was just kind of funny the other day that, you know, my music was going on shuffle. Heavy Lolo came up, and I got in contact with Robbie, and I'm just like, dude, this was my shit, and I listen to it now, and it still is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that stuff.
Everything's watching, everyone's watching. Some dope record.
So good. So good. I agree. All right, so let's dig into your interests as far as in your youth. You know, when you're coming up, you're a little kid, what were some songs or maybe some albums that really caught your attention and resonated with you?
I mean, like, I definitely remember listening to Nirvana, like very very like young. I had an older sister that kind of was like rocking a lot of like kind of local stuff like when she was younger. So Nirvana was like one of the first things I got. Early Green Day was one of the first things that got into my CD player. What else did I have? I had REM Monster was one of the first CDs I had.
Nice.
Uh, and The Offspring Smash was one of the first CDs I ever had.
Nice.
But then I
Nice.
kind of like moved into like I heard Sunny Day Real Estate, and that kind of like turned me onto like underground music, you know, at a pretty young age. So uh,
Okay.
from there, that kind of led to like discovering like, whoa, you don't have to like be on the radio to be a band, and you know, like put out awesome records. And Sunny Day Real Estate's probably like my one of my favorite bands of all time,
Oh, okay.
As well as Nirvana. So.
Okay. I like that. I like that. And now your dad being a musician, as
Mm.
well, what were some bands or maybe even different musicians that he introduced you to that you're still a fan of today and maybe, inspirational?
The Hendrix, you know, the Beatles, Zeppelin.
Okay.
Those are the big three that I can think of off the top of my head. But also like into stuff like Miles Davis and like James Brown, Ray Charles. Like a lot of Motown stuff was going on in my house too, because Dad was a bass player. You know,
Yeah, okay.
so there was a lot of like rock and roll mixed with a lot of like funk kind of and like soul music.
Okay, nice, nice. And that was something, next you have a, kind of a shorter documentary on YouTube there called The Whole Story. And you mentioned your dad's playing as far as him playing bass. Did you see him at different shows? Did he play a
Oh
lot?
yeah.
What was his style? And your
Uh,
take on seeing your dad play?
oh man. I mean, growing up, he was kind of at the tail end of his like career. You know, he was like playing on the weekends and had two kids, and kind of like I was bored, and he kind of like gave up road life, you know, for good.
Mhm.
Which, you know, thanks, Dad. But I carried that torch the best that I could up until now. So that's
Yeah.
cool. But like you know, like seeing Dad play was always the coolest shit. Like when I was younger, you know, it just did something to me that I couldn't explain, and I wanted to do that too. So
Yeah.
it's just something that I grew up so like uh, it was so normal for me, you know. Like music was like I thought everybody played an instrument when I was like younger, and when I learned not everybody is like in a band or like plays an instrument, like it surprised me when I was like very little, you know.
Okay.
Like I'd
Okay.
be like, "Oh, Dad, what does that person play?" Or you know, like what is it? Like do they play and stuff like that. So like
Okay.
it's music's in the family. So growing up seeing Dad play the music was like uh cover bands were pretty hot thing, and like the time that my dad was like jobbing around Seattle in the nightclubs and stuff. He was in
Okay.
a pretty cool cover band called Burgundy Express. I remember
Ooh.
like pretty vividly. They were hot shit. They made more they made more money in a weekend than Fall Out Boy like made on any tour we've ever done, dude.
I mean, it's a beautiful connection with that because you have to love it in a sense, but then you're like, damn it, I took so long writing this shit, and meanwhile, some other cats can go and play somebody else's stuff and make just as much in one
Dude,
night than you did in a whole year.
it's not as much as of an art form anymore being in a cover band as I feel like it used to when my dad was doing it. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
dude, that band was so good. Like doing someone else's song is not an easy thing, you know. Like
Right.
especially to do it with taste, to do it
Mm-hmm.
well, and like in a way that isn't like oh god, you know, another cover band kind of thing. Like
Right.
I've learned that over the years, kind of doing covers myself too. Like
Mm-hmm.
you know, I like to throw a cover in here or there, and even in like our sets, you know, on the
Right.
road and stuff. So it's
Now,
cool. It,
for a little while there, you were running like open mic nights of some sort, right?
like kind of like yeah, like improv, like kind of jazz nights. I was playing drums and playing with like the house band on weekends when I wasn't on tour with my band. That's
Okay.
very cool.
Yeah, that's actually that's something we're going to get into a little bit later. But I just thought of that as well. As far as that's kind of cool. Just being able to step back from different things and take on doing something like that as well. It kind of gives you a little bit of a fresh take on things. I'm sure.
Different world.
Yeah, for sure.
Like coming home from playing hardcore shows and like touring in a van to like playing drums and like a jazz quintet is like. That's pretty cool. I was digging that like time in my life for sure.
Yeah.
I'll say.
Oh yeah. So tell us about growing up in Mukilteo. What were some record shops? What were some local spots that you would frequent, that you'd pick up? Some of your favorite albums there.
I mean, we would definitely come down to like the city and stuff to like do anything like that. Like by the time I got old enough, we couldn't get out of Mukilteo fast enough to get down to Seattle. To go to like record stores like Sonic Boom, and we had like a Tower Records downtown that was like they had in stores and shit like that. Like growing up when I was younger, it's gone now, sadly. Rest in peace. But a lot of the record shops are gone now.
Right.
But Sonic Boom is like the quintessential Seattle record store. I think still kicking, still alive and kicking.
Nice. Thank God, because that's an art form that I hope.
Oh man,
we kind of touched on that a little bit, in conversation, but that's certainly an art form. I hope that never gets lost. And it seems like within the last like few years, there's definitely been a resurgence, and it's a good thing to see.
Agreed. Yeah.
What were some of your earlier memories of buying an album with your own money? Whether working a job or getting some sort of allowance and busting your ass to finally get something. What was the earlier memory of that?
Nirvana in Utero. I remember going to the mall that was kind of near, like Mukilteo in Alderwood, and going to like I can't remember what store it was. I remember it changed hands over the years many times, and it ended up being like an FYE by the end or something like that. But
oh yeah,
that was like the record store that was closest to my house, and I remember having gotten like $20 for my birthday or something, and I wanted to buy a CD, and I was drawn to the artwork of In Utero. I mean, I knew I loved Nirvana, but I had never like bought my own CD before, but I remember that artwork really like pulling me in and being beautiful yet kind of like gory and interesting and colorful.
Sure, yeah. I mean that's it's good to hear that, as far as sometimes you go, and back in the day you didn't really have other forms, and you go and you buy something and spend all your damn money and it sucks, you're like
Sometimes now.
That is true.
Sometimes now.
Stuck with something, you're like, damn it, I'm gonna have to push myself to like something here because I just wasted money on it.
That's right. I don't get to see the band play every night now. Like
right.
Taking a risk listening to new music these days.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. What were some local spots, maybe even DIY spots for going to shows? What were some things growing up that you'd attend?
I mean, I live right now in the University District. There used to be a venue called the Paradox Theater that would have like hardcore matinee on Sunday afternoons.
Oh damn!
For like $5. It was an all ages spot. There was no bar, but there was a bar kitty corner from it for all the folks that were older than us that partied and stuff. I wasn't old enough for that yet, but I mean, we were going to shows down there 2 to 5 nights a week, like in high school.
Damn, okay.
That's kind of where Fall of Troy got our start, like playing shows, was at the Paradox Theater and what is now called El Corazon in Seattle. Used to be called the Graceland.
Okay.
Those two places, and then over on the east side, we frequented a place called the Redmond Firehouse. That was another all ages kind of like teen center kind of place.
Okay. All right. What were some of your favorite shows, or maybe even bands seeing at some of those spots, or just something that comes to mind right now?
I mean, definitely came up seeing a lot of different kinds of bands in Seattle, you know, from like the Blood Brothers to Botch to Minus the Bear, uh,
Whoa.
Pretty Girls Make Graves, um, the Murder City Devils, you know, like the list of Seattle bands that were integral in like my punk rock upbringing, like that I was lucky enough to have around growing up, was pretty awesome in Seattle in the early 2000s, the late 90s, you know, like there was a lot of good shows locally going on. But
Yeah.
the Blood
Okay.
Brothers were one of those bands that like really I saw a lot of times. Botch as
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
Schoolyard
Okay.
Heroes as well, Rachel.
So now, initially, before a guitarist, you were a drummer, correct? That was the first instrument that you picked up.
That I can remember, you know, like I or that I can, yeah, like, but I always been able to play drums
Okay.
to my memory. You know,
Okay.
then it was like dad played bass, so I picked up his bass. He had a guitar laying around. I picked up the guitar eventually, probably by the age of like, you know, 11 or 12, something like that.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when picking up drums, what were some of the initial albums that you'd play with, or songs that you're like, I really want to be able to play this song?
Anything Zeppelin, you know, like anything Led
Oof.
Zeppelin, any John Bonham, any Dave Grohl, any powerhouse shit like that was like my drumming background, you know.
Okay, all right. Now, what drove your switch? Now, you just mentioned as far as that your dad having a guitar laying around, but was it
Hmm.
just the switch to playing guitar? Was it just the fact of like trying to see different angles of a musician and of the musicianship?
That's definitely part of it. I think was wanting to be able to write like complete songs, like because you know, I'd have everything in my head, guitar, bass, drums, you know, sing like vocals. I wanted to be able to take that out of my head and put it into reality. But I also think that um, starting out playing drums and then like getting into playing bands, nobody ever wanted to be out front like singing and playing guitar. You know, they were like too shy for it.
Hmm.
So I would always be the guy that's like, God, I guess I'll play guitar again. You know, like, and that's kind of what led to it, man. Like I just, and then nobody wanted to sing ever. So like I was like, I guess I'll play guitar and sing, and kind of ended up like out front. It kind of went backwards, like Dave Grohl syndrome. You know what I mean?
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Started at drums, ended up out in front, like, but not like because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna totally front a band. That wasn't like my thought process. My thought process was always like, I want to be the drummer.
Okay,
Can't be
okay.
the drummer. Okay, I want to be the next best thing, the bass player. No, no, like, okay, well, this guy's not good enough to play guitar, so he's got to play four strings. So he's the bass player. I'll play guitar, I guess, and sing. That's kind of how the whole thing went.
That it's kind of it's funny hearing that because as far as like my upbringing, I ended up playing drums because nobody else had drums. Everybody wanted to be a singer or wanted to be a guitarist, and so I'm just like, what the fuck is around here that nobody has? And it's like, oh, nobody has drums. I guess I'll try and
Drums.
pick that up. Shit. So it's funny hearing that that progression. How you got into it as well.
Sure, I'm kind of glad it ended up how it did, to be quite honest, because man, drummers have a lot of stuff to move when you get into
It's the
touring
worst.
and stuff. It is a
That's the
curse,
shittiest
man.
part.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, if you get good enough at guitar, you get what we call a guitar tech, and then you don't have to do anything.
Right. 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 Those are some ventures I need to take on, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I
What's
mean, they're expensive, but they're worth their weight in gold when you're touring 250 days a year.
touche, touche. Absolutely. I can understand and appreciate that. Tell us about your first guitar. Where did it all start?
Ooh, well, I guess my first guitar was my dad's last guitar. Um, it was like a blue. I still have it, I think, at my grandma's house. It's like in pieces. It's definitely going to be like my like when I'm going to fix that guitar up, you know, like in the coming years probably at some point. But
Okay.
it's an old Japanese like 80s Squire Stratocaster.
Oh, okay.
that my dad had because, like I said, he was a big Hendrix fan, and he wasn't a huge guitar player. I don't remember him playing guitar a ton growing up, and usually when it was his acoustic guitar. But he would get pissed when he'd come home and catch me with this P bass, like like fucking around on his '68 P bass, like what are you doing, like so give me the Squire guitar, and like that's kind of how it came to pass. It's like
Oh,
Dad didn't want
really?
me fucking around with his awesome bass, so I got the guitar now instead.
It's got like two strings on it and shit.
Yeah, definitely. It was
Nice.
missing a B string, like fucked up at first. I had to figure out how to tune it. Like,
Like, well,
yeah,
I might as well learn how to play bass on this thing. There's only two strings on it.
exactly. You got it.
Nice.
Yep,
That is
yep.
that is hilarious.
That's
All right,
how.
so as far as the start to the fall of Troy, going back to maybe like 2002, 2003,
Mm,
you taking on singing and playing guitar in the band. You touched on this a little bit, but as far as your vocal approach, you certainly have a unique style, a completely different style. And from when I first heard Fall of Troy, that was the first thing I was like, what the hell? Like completely
yeah.
caught my attention. So did you have lessons? How did you come into, the style that you ended up with and still have today?
Painstakingly. Um, I've never, I've never like considered myself a very good singer, to be honest with you. I just will do it,
Right.
Like, my dad's a really, really, really good singer, and so, then my sister has really good pitch as well. Like I said, music kind of runs in the family, so
Mhm.
everybody's kind of singing and playing music all the time growing up, right? So like, um, I just I would out of necessity sing, I guess. When
Oh,
Fall
okay.
of Troy came came to be a thing, and I got exposed to hardcore music and learned that you don't have to actually sing, you can like just scream. Uh, but being able to like play to my two strengths singing and then scream, and then my two strengths singing and then scream. That was kind of my approach at first, like
Oh, okay.
stick to the basics, Thomas. And eventually it became, let's get better at this thing and that thing and this thing and that thing, and like, always grow. Like I'm always trying to grow, um, as a musician, definitely as a singer, and singing, man, underrated. Like it's a your body is a very hard instrument to play,
Hmm.
and especially being on the road and stuff, and learning to have to like take care of your voice, and you know uh, not just blow it out every night, you
Right.
know, yelling and screaming. I, it's crazy stuff, man, and especially like also kind of coming of age, learning to play guitar alongside this band as well. Kind of like trying to dig out my own niche in the world of like punk rock, that was around me. I was lucky to be, like I said, exposed to very talented bands in this genre, all different types of them,
Hmm.
from a young age, and be able to kind of learn the craft, and dig out my own little like area of originality, but also technicality, at the same time, was
Oh
was
yeah.
was kind of like always the thought process of Fall of Troy, was to progress and get better, always, still is till today,
Hmm.
always trying
Wow.
to become better musicians, like, for sure.
Wow. I mean, it's interesting just hearing, as far as like myself being a fan and being a fan of the band from years, kind of the little bit of vulnerability that's behind that, and, just kind
Mm,
of going along and still fine tuning and everything. Cause, uh,
always.
listening to the albums, it seems like everything is perfectly fucking figured out.
Yeah, you'd think that we like you learn how to fool people really good too, like along the way somewhere. Um, I think that like Andrew, our drummer, and I kind of having a little bit of this like jazz improvisational background, you know, and like respect for the actual craft and art of music is like really important to us, not just being like a loud a loud crazy band, you know. There's actual music going on. We always try to like stick to that, you know.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
That is absolutely great. So with the Fall of Troy, initially, Doppelganger was my introduction. I went back, listened to Self-Title, and then I like those albums. Then you have my man right here. You have old Manipulator come out. So
Yeah.
the first thing I remember hearing about that I want to touch on is I remember reading an article, and it mentioned a song that was very sonically inspired, sounding like Weezer. And Weezer is my favorite band of all time, and I'm like,
Oh,
oh
the
shit,
casino.
yes sir. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about writing that. I got to dig into this album because I love it. But
Um,
some of your inspiration behind that song there.
that song's a tribute to my friend Draper, who was like he was my sister's age, and I grew up with him, and he was an amazing guitar player and a super nice guy. He's from Tennessee, but he died of a heroin overdose when we were on the road, like writing for, and I was writing Manipulator, and it was just kind of a time around our group of friends and like our band and everything that was like, it was pretty dark. There was a lot of like kind of shitty stuff happening, and Draper passing away was like especially kind of hit me hard, I guess, and kind of like threw our circle of friends into disarray. And he exposed me to Weezer, the Blue Album, you know, and it was huge,
Okay.
huge thing for me. And so, you know, his songs, it had to sound like a Weezer song, you know, like to me.
Wow.
So yeah, that's like that. It's my ode to Draper in not only lyric but also sonically, you know.
Wow, that is I mean, it makes me love it even all the more.
Hmm.
Jeez, what a
Me
deep
too.
story. Wow, I never heard that before. I've done lots of research on the album, and I've been such a huge fan since I've heard the whole thing, all together. But I'd never heard that, and God,
Not a
that's
lot of people ask about that song, you
wow.
know. It's kind
That's
of like a little blip of a song, but it's cool if you pay attention.
oh,
Uh,
dude, that song's fucking great.
so it's cool. It's cool you asked about that song, you know,
I love it.
particular.
I love it. All right,
Everybody
so
always asks about like Sledgehammer or whatever, you know, like nobody usually asks about the casino. So cool. Thank you for asking about that song.
Absolutely. It was funny because it was one of those things, like I said, I was reading an article and it says, something to the effect of this particular track will take you right back to the times of loving the Blue Album and Pinkerton. And I'm just like,
Yeah,
oh shit. Okay,
that's
I'm
what
gonna have to pick
that's
this
what it's
up
supposed
right
to do.
away.
Yeah, definitely, man. Because that's like, you know, he gave me that gift when I was young. So like
Wow.
uh sonically the song had to like carpet had to match the drapes, or so to speak. Whatever.
Touche. All right, tell us about this artwork here. As far as the artist and maybe just some ideas here. Especially if you get into the gatefold and everything.
But yeah,
I'll have to
yeah.
include some pictures in the video here. But
I
if
mean,
the thing is fucking beautiful. Just take us through as far as the direction that it went.
I can't tell you much about the direction of it other than it's just a little snapshot and glimpse into the insanity that was our bass player Tim's mind at the time because he did all that artwork.
Oh no
Um,
shit! Wow.
yep,
Okay.
he did all of it. There's one little piece of it that John from Portugal, the man, drew. But Tim drew all of that, like hand drew it in a notebook, and we scanned like on a tour on a tour, and he would have people like draw in there or write stuff in his like notebook, and we were like, Tim's always drawing, let's just have him do the artwork like from his notebook. So he like that was a year's worth of touring snapshot of Tim's mind of madness, like. And then our buddy Brandon from Fear Before the March of Flames colored it,
Oh yeah.
like colored it in because it was all done in black and white originally, like in his notebook.
Damn, no kidding.
Yeah,
So a little bit of a collaborative effort there, and dropping
definitely.
Fear Before. Oh my God, that's another
Yeah,
band I absolutely love and
have to.
miss.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to
Oh,
Fear Before.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I had old Goose on here. I don't know, a couple of months back, and we were talking more every time I die and different things. But I'm
Hell
gonna
yeah.
have to have him back on to talk those days because goddamn, I love that band. And if old
Love
Flav,
Goose.
if old Flava Dave is ever on one of these, I gotta have him on
Yo.
too.
Yo. For real.
I
Last
dude,
time, dude, I, yeah. Dave, always, always, all day. Like
good dude.
every time we go to Denver, I try to get Dave on stage.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
man.
That
I
he had
do.
the old move where he'd rub his hands and put it out to the crowd like it was a fireplace or some shit.
We were lucky to see
Dude,
such a great band, weren't we?
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So now you've recently started streaming some series, through Twitch, and in one episode you mentioned taking notes in between different albums as far as to identify what didn't work on the last one and what did work. What were some things between OK and Muckle to Earth that you had to work on a little bit, or things that you liked?
Mm. Um, Between OK and Muckle to Earth, well, like very different, like approaches, mindsets, everything. Because OK was like us coming back together,
Mm-hmm.
and Muckle to Earth is really a kind of almost a retrospective because it's like half of the album is songs we wrote when we were in our teenage years, like our first songs we ever wrote. Chain Wallet Nike Shoes, the first Fall Out Troy song ever written. Um, Up until uh, We Are the Future, which is the most recently written Fall of Troy song.
Mm-hmm.
So um, that was like, I don't know. OK was named OK because at the time that's what we were. We weren't like, awesome or terrible or great, or we were just like okay at the time. And like for us, that was a big deal at that point, because we'd been split up for a number of years at that point. And like OK was birthed out of being asked to do a Nirvana covers like album that we ended up um, doing, and in recording and rehearsing for that, we ended up writing, I think, what became 401k, which was
Mm.
the first
Okay.
song of OK. Um, and that album just kind of spilled out of us, whereas Muckle to Earth, like, fell into our lap. It's like, it's kind of a long story. We did OK. We had studio time. We were gonna demo OK, and then we were gonna go into the studio and re-record it, and like so we had time to sit with the demos. Halfway through the demos, we decided this is the album, like we're not gonna re-record it. This is what we want. It is how it is how it is. So we were left with the studio time after recording OK, and Andrew went in and just recorded a bunch of drums to click tracks, and we sat on those drum tracks for ever, and then the whole pandemic thing happened and whatnot. uh like we had room to finally finish what we started, kind of, with those drum tracks, because there was always the intention of, okay, we're going to put the bass and the guitars on them and this and that, and then we kind of added more to that because we had these old songs that we wanted to reimagine and have be in their actual like final form, I guess, so to speak.
Oh, okay.
And we were able to finally do that and put that together, and also add new material to the album as well. So they're two totally different things. Where OK kind of just feels like it was just a moment in time. Muckle to Earth is like a very vast feeling thing for me. It spans a number of years to me.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah,
As far as okay, what was the idea to release just solely the instrumentals? Where
that
did
was
that come from?
that was Andrew's idea. Like,
Okay.
and I think that was mostly like for the people that are like come to our shows and stuff, you know, because we've always been into instrumental bands as well, you know, as bands with vocals. Initially, Fall Out Troy was going to be an instrumental band. We weren't going to have any vocals. We just kind of ended up uh, being moved to want to have vocals. But initially, it was instrumental. We write all our songs instrumental first. Every Fall Out Troy song is written instrumentally before it has any vocals put on it, you know, and like written, perfected, and then we put the vocals on when the song's done. So Andrew was like, let's, you know, put out a version of the album like we wrote it, you know, like without any vocals, basically. Um,
Oh, okay.
and it worked. People loved it. So like, um, we were like, that's, you know, it's cool. It gives the songs kind of a new life to like hear them and hear those spaces in the songs that maybe you weren't paying attention to what was going on here because it has vocal over it or whatnot.
Oh, okay, okay. The first thing that came to mind with me as far as that was, you know, like hip hop artists, like different rappers, you know, jumping on somebody else's beat and throwing something over it. You know, I was like, man, I'd like to see some people, you know, going
Yeah,
online, different singers of bands and just throwing some shit over it, or even some rappers.
dude, that'd be so cool. Like you know, I'm a big fan of collaboration, so like I'd be totally into that. But that wasn't
Yeah.
the initial intent, I don't think. The initial intent was just to kind of put out the songs the way that we hear them before everybody else does.
Nice. Okay, I love that. I mean that's really really cool. I guess it was one of those things too where it got a lot of wheels turning as far as you know where
Sure.
was that coming from, but it was awesome because you know it's like you're listening to a completely different album, even though you know you're sitting there singing the lyrics that you remember, but you like you said, you know, you might miss something with you know certain lyrics or certain things that are going on that just hearing the music it brings a whole new life to it. So yeah, I
Good
love that. Nice touch.
good for practice for me personally too. I can put on the instrumental like in my car, you know, when there's nobody there and I can like practice singing songs.
Nice. Nice. Or at least you don't think anybody's watching. You look over and it's like a dog staring at you.
I'm singing to my own songs.
Son of a bitch. Here he is
Go,
again.
oh, Thomas again singing to his own songs in his car by himself.
Oh my God. All right. Most recently, you've had different various projects, different things going on, but you've brought us Thomas Erak in The Shoreline.
So far.
You've also had a couple of different things going on, but I wanted to ask first of all about the EP, the whole story. Each different thing that you've realized or that you've released with this has been a little bit different, I would say.
Yeah.
Tell us about you know the initial idea of doing that and the whole documentary that came along with it.
I felt like it was important for people to understand the experience that I had, like making that EP and like how much of an experiment it was, you know, like for me to see if I could even do it, to like see if that process would work. Like to see
Okay.
if I could go in and kind of be like, give me a click track, go in, play the drums to the song in my head, and then fill it out, you know, and see if I could actually do that like all by myself. And it worked. Like um, it worked very well too.
Mhm.
And but it was also about, like I kind of stated earlier, you know, like for me personally as a musician, it's always about growth, you know. So I wanted to like touch on some genres and some places that I felt like maybe I couldn't go with Fall of Troy, um, or hadn't gone with Fall of Troy, and wanted to explore. You know, like I was living in Nashville at the time, um, that I was writing most of that record like in my head, you know, and went up to Chicago and it kind of just spilled out of me. And you can definitely hear that all over like Payday Loans, which is almost a country song, but also like kind of one of the prettier songs I think I've ever written. Um,
Okay.
and vocally one of my favorite, like probably performances I've ever been able to capture. Um,
Yeah.
but as far as the documentary part goes, it's like, I just wanted everybody to be able to understand beneath the surface what was kind of going on there, as opposed to just being like a 6-song EP, it was actually like a full on, like, I immersed myself into this challenge, you know, of could I, can I do this? Is this possible for me? And how's it going to turn out if I do, you know?
Sure. Okay.
So now that I've done the experiment and it worked, now I'm going back to the drawing board with it, kind of going to try to pull it together a little bit tighter and make it more cohesive as a solo endeavor, you know, as opposed to just finding out if I'm capable.
Just jump it all the way in.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna.
Like, shit,
Yeah,
it worked.
yeah. Exactly. That's exactly what's going on right now. And
Nice. Okay.
and you know, I'm grateful to have been able to like continue to make music like in the time that I haven't been able to be on the road in the last, you know, however long. It's been rough, but
Mm-hmm.
it's cool to have the wherewithal to know that I can make an album by myself, you know. Um, and it's a challenge, so I'm always up for a challenge musically, as you can kind of start to draw lines to, you know. I'm always like kind of challenging myself, trying to figure out what that next leap of faith is musically.
Sure, sure. And especially with artists, a lot of times too, I feel like that's a really healthy thing to have that challenge and to have that, you know, drive mentally to be like, how can I better this? Even if it's my own craft and just playing guitar, you know, like what are
Yeah,
some things that I can learn and what are some things that I can do a little bit better, you know, maybe tighten up. So, you know, being able to just pull all of it together and make an album or an EP, you know, all yourself, it's a whole other realm, but very
yeah.
sick still.
Gotta find new ways to practice. You
Right,
know,
right.
gotta find new ways to practice to find new ways to preach.
Yeah. So now the next year you come out with an EP of covers, which
Mm.
if I didn't mention earlier, I'm going to have to ask about how did you land on No Other One by Weezer? That cover, you know, as a Weezer fan,
We
has
love
you,
Weezer. We love
you
them.
know, just as much as you want to cry, I want to headbang to that fucking thing. So just tell us a little
That's
bit.
it right there. You got it. You just explained it. Because I mean that's always been one of my favorite Weezer songs, and that's the feeling that song's always given me.
Nice,
I like it.
nice.
I dig it, and I just thought, you know, what a it just I don't know. The song just kind of reached out to me in that moment that I kind of decided to do it because the covers thing came out of just having a little bit of extra studio time laying around. As you could tell, studio time doesn't go unused. Like, you
Right,
know, if we have it,
right.
we use it.
Yeah.
So I had a little extra studio time after completing the EP and decided to, you know, have some friends like come and collaborate and perform. Um, like Jake from Just Like Vinyl is on the Garbage song. Um,
Hmm.
he's also on the Coasters cover. And then No Other One, my other buddy Jake is playing drums on that cover.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and he's in a band from Chicago. I got to kind of just like have fun with it, like on the covers thing, you know, and kind of just released it for fun as well.
Okay. All right. No, and that's really, really cool. You know, that was kind
It's
of
just
like
a genuine
another,
thing, you
yeah.
know. It's just a genuine just covers thing, and the Garbage song is the one that like totally just came out of left field. Like I don't even know where we had the idea to do "I'm Only Happy When It Rains." Like I don't know where that came from. It's
Just
awesome.
seemed
Like
fitting for the time, and yeah, hell yeah, it works.
like
Everything's cohesive.
had to learn the song and everything, you know, like to record it. Like it was cool, man. It was an
Oh
interesting
wow, no shit.
experience. Yeah, like me and my buddy Jake had to like we knew the song but we didn't know how to play it, you know, so we had to like learn how to play it and then record and then went in and kind of like tweaked it a little to like just make it our own enough
Huh? Wow.
to feel like it's interesting to have someone listen to, you know, as opposed to just like playing someone's song.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, and that's I guess that's interesting that you mentioned that because a lot of times, you know, if you have something that you know you've just played through a couple of times and you just wanted to toss it on because you had some extra time, it's kind of noticeable. But it's one of those things where I mean, it sounded like it was one of those songs you guys grew up with and absolutely loved,
uh
and you know
no
you're
other one
real
for
at it.
sure.
So, damn. Huh.
No,
That's
yeah,
interesting. I like that.
no other one is one of those that was like the first song I learned off Pinkerton. That and Tired of Sex were like the two first two riffs that just like I was just like, wow. When I heard those, like when I heard that opening riff and no other one, it blew my head off when I was, 12 or 13 years old or however old I was when that album
Oh
came
yeah,
off. Just
yeah,
remember going,
absolutely.
whoa. Like,
Do
yeah.
you have you listened to any other more recent albums?
The Weezer albums.
Hmm.
I think I kind of stopped after the green one.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some of Maladroit, I think, and I've heard bits and pieces here and there, but man, nothing does it like those first two. I went and saw Weezer when they came through on the Blue Pinkerton tour, like a few years back, when they went out
Whoa.
and did those two albums back to back.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
they were
Wow.
pl- they were pushing a couple new songs like in their like
Like a post set?
yeah, their encore or whatever. Like
Mhm.
they were pushing a single, I think, or something that was pretty good. But man, yeah, it was no tired of sex, my man.
Touche, touche.
It was
All
no,
right.
it was no, it was no. The world has turned and left me here, brother.
Oh my God.
It wasn't that one.
It's
It
it's
wasn't in the
it's
garage.
it is funny. The one thing I will mention though with Pinkerton and how they initially had that musical that was supposed to all be a cohesive piece.
Songs from the Black Hole.
Yeah, Songs from the Black Hole. They just recently released an album called, I think it's OK Computer, but everything is all like there's no electronic, no digital, nothing, and it's all kind of like a score piece. And they did it with this huge symphony, and it was pretty damn cool. Actually, it was a lot different from those original albums, but it was something in
Worth
just
a
kind of
listen.
thinking of like like worth a listen, and kind of reminded me of like a score or like a soundtrack of a movie of some sort,
The
which
soundtrack to River Coma's life.
the ups and downs, huh?
Yes, yes, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Now,
Cool.
last, I wanted to touch on the witching hour. Now, speaking of scoring, some of this it gets toned back. It's not like some of the aggressive as far as like the whole story gets toned back. It's a little bit more calm,
Mm,
but there's still some swooning feel. Even some
right.
pieces that I felt like that were almost something that could have been a score to a movie. Tell us about writing that.
They were definitely. That's kind of how they came because they came out of those kind of open mic improv nights that I used to host. Um, uh, we were doing those for a while, and like afterwards, we would go to my buddy's house that had like kind of a home studio set up at his place, and we'd kind of take what we were jamming on that night, and we'd take the good parts of it and lay those down, kind of turn them into songs, and thought I had like lost those two songs, and he like recently found that computer or found that hard drive, and so we went back and kind of like remixed those songs. I just kind of threw them out because I liked them so much, um,
Damn. Okay.
and that was kind of the first time I recorded anything outside of Fall of Troy, like in a recording session without my band. Like where it was kind of me, like the very very beginnings of my solo like career or whatever kind of you
Hmm.
know
Okay.
it was the very very like beginning out like outline of what would become that experiment that I completed with the whole story, where like uh this full length I'm working on right now that's going to be called Thomas Erak and the Impending Doom is going to be like a fully realized idea of like I think what I kind of want to do as a musician, like by myself as opposed to being in a band.
Ooh. Okay.
So
Shit.
it's like a lifelong journey of learning how to play music by myself and put out records by myself.
Damn. Okay. Well, is this something that you have already recorded? Are you still in the process of writing? How is that going?
Still, still kind of working on it because I'm kind of writing it as I go, But there's a good like 20 something songs, so it's like it's a handful of stuff that I'm gonna be able to pick from and kind of I've been able to work on over the last year. I'm just gonna keep working on it until it's done. Like I'm not gonna put any kind of like release date on it or or rush myself in any way, shape, or form. It's like when it's done,
Oh,
it'll be
okay.
done, and I'll put it out. So I'm hoping soon though. But I also have some other stuff planned that's going to be happening in the next year. So I
Holy
got some
shit.
I got shit up my sleeve. I
Yeah,
got some I
sounds
got
like
some
it.
yeah, I got some shit in the tuck that like I'm definitely going to be dropping. So um,
Damn, very cool.
it's
Very
exciting.
cool.
Like it's exciting. I've had a more time in the studio than I've ever had in my life in the last year. So I've definitely made good use of it, and
Mhm.
I think a lot of musicians around me in the last year, a lot of us have just been kind of watching to see what happens. Like all of our plans kind of just went away, in a second.
Mhm.
And so everybody's like, well, we were going to put out a record. Well, we were going to go on a tour. Like, now you're not doing any of that, like you're not doing any of that stuff. Like, you're going to have to make a whole new plan. So
Right.
that's what I did. And like, that's kind of just what I'm doing is feeling it out still,
Mhm.
and also, going to be writing with my old band, Just Like Vinyl, and also Fall Troy,
Oh.
like within the next like year or so. So there's going to be a lot of records coming from me in the next couple of years.
Oh man, that is awesome. I can say, as far as like I love all your stuff. I've been a fan with all that, but when I discovered Just Like Vinyl and Black Mass, that
Mm.
album, holy shit. That and
Uh,
Manipulator are probably like my favorite things as far as, collective albums that I could say. I do love like the newer stuff and whatnot, but Black Mass, that slaps in a different way.
it does, it does. That's kind of where Black Mass left off. Impending Doom kind of picks up. So like, it's
Oh boy.
definitely like heavier stuff, more rock and stuff than the music I've put out in the last like little while. I've just been kind of cleaning out my closet of stuff, like with the Witching Hour shit that I dropped. Like I never even planned on putting that out or even really hearing that again. And when I did, and all those years later, it still kind of moved me. That's like why I decided to just drop it, on everybody,
Yeah.
um, and put it out under the Witching Hour, like, you know, thing. I like the idea of the imaginary band, that I have on every album. That's
Yeah.
really just me.
You go
It's
back and
cool.
make some videos where you edit in different people behind you. And
Just
that'd be
out of
sick.
focus, guys. Like in the
Yeah.
90s, just out of focus, guys.
Oh my God. There you go, man.
Thomas Erak and the out of focus guys.
Yeah. Put some like the mask, like a all white mask on him or some shit, like
Dude,
something Twilight
yes.
Zone.
Make it very scary.
Yeah, there you go.
Very,
There you
very
go.
90s. Very 90s.
Speaking of scary, I couldn't have had a better segue into this. Tell me about your interest in horror movies and psychological
Heavy.
thrillers, different things. I've seen you mention different things on this, and
Yeah.
myself loving horror, I had to ask about this. Where did this start for you?
Psychological. It all started at The Shining, of course.
Oh yeah, okay.
Started at The Shining. Uh, it currently lives in Hereditary, and we'll see where it ends up, I guess.
Nice. Now, have you watched the? Is it Room 237? Is that the
Yeah,
documentary on The Shining with different? What did you think on that? What was your take on
I mean,
different theories?
anything involving Kubrick is just like crazy, crazy.
Hmm.
Uh, is a crazy story. Like from him from potential foul play to him producing the moon landing. Like
Right.
there's a
Right.
lot of stories, and I don't want to. I also don't want to, spoiler alert kind of thing
Mhm.
with it. But anything involving Kubrick, just I've always been drawn to since I was little,
Okay.
and 2000 front, but The Shining just, man, The Shining, Nicholson blew my mind with that one, and like that movie scared me. That, and like also I remember the first R-rated scary film that I saw in a theater was Event Horizon, which,
Oh man.
yeah, I've always been one for the scary movies. Like,
Yes.
ever since I was exposed to them, they just hit different.
Hmm.
From the scores to to the acting, to the writing. You can just kind of do more, I feel like, with the horror genre than you can like any other genre.
Mm-hmm.
You can stretch it a little bit further. And there's all different types, of horror film. Whereas like I feel like any other genre, I'm a little more particular,
Mm-hmm.
It's vast. It feels like a very vast area. I would love to score a horror film. Like that's one of my big like goals in life is to score like a scary movie, psychological thriller type film, or something
Oh
involving
shit.
space maybe.
Okay. I mean, have you ever had any different ideas or things that you've recorded down as far as if something like that came up?
No, I, I'd have to see the film. You know what I mean? Like I'd have to.
Oh yeah, that makes
Yeah,
duh.
I feel like yeah. I mean, definitely vibe wise, I feel like a lot of my music kind of carries a darker element to it. So
Mhm.
I feel like I could carry that on to accompany a screen pretty well. Um, but that would be a fun experiment too, to be given a film and to have someone go, here now, make the music. Uh, so I have fingers crossed that's like a challenge I'll be able to complete, on this go around, so to speak.
That would be absolutely
And
sick.
big
Yeah, I
big
love that.
goals. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's kind of where I live with the whole rock and roll and horror films kind of thing. Like that's my lot in all of this is kind of trying to tie it all together.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. Now you mentioned The Shining too. I have to say that's
Mm.
one of the movies where I can credit when I was a little kid something scaring me, and then when I get older and
Still
realize
scared.
what's going on, I'm scared again, but in a totally different way. That scene when they walk up
Nice.
and there's the guy in the bear costume and he like
Yeah,
raises up. Dude, when I
creepy.
was a little kid, it was just scary visually, the
The
aesthetic. But
imagery,
then
yeah.
now, like when I get older and I realize actually what the fuck was going on, you're like,
Absolutely.
whoa,
It's like
that deep shit going on with that movie.
Roger Rabbit type shit. I love that film too. But when that guy used to melt when I was a kid, I would
Yes.
get so
Yes.
scared, man. That scared the shit out of me. I loved that film though, growing up. But that part, there was there there was a few fast forwards, like when I was younger.
Yeah. What would be three scenes that you could throw out there that are just forever ingrained in your brain, whether gross, disgusting, or just terrifying?
Definitely that one where the
Okay.
where the guy where the bad guy melts in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The T-Rex scene in Jurassic Park,
Oh yeah.
like with the snapping cables and the car like being
Yeah.
slowly pushed over the
The
edge.
goat's gone.
Where's the goat? Thump.
Yeah. So sick.
Yeah, dude, so sick. Where's the goat? Thump. That one. And let me think here. Definitely the scene of recent films, that the scene in Hereditary where he bursts into flames, just like when she throws the book in the fire, and her
Oh
husband
yeah.
bursts into flames, and he just the look on her face.
Gnarly.
Oh man,
Yeah.
what a scary film.
Yeah, that's a movie too. Is funny because when it initially came out, I was hearing so much about it. There was so much buzz behind it. I didn't give it a chance. I didn't even want to watch it because I was like, I'm gonna watch it and it's gonna be whack as shit. I'm not gonna like it. It's got all the. And I think what it was actually was how you see those things online where it's like top 20 best horror movies ever. Like I
Yeah.
would see that on there with like The Shining and different things. I'm like, there's no way. And then finally, I got it as a gift, and I'm like, all right, I'll
Yeah.
watch it. That movie is fucking terrifying.
Dude, the score too is terrifying as well.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Hell yeah.
knocked it out the park on that one.
Yeah, right, right. What would you say as far as one last question on film? What would be one universe that's just the ultimate worst nightmare that you would have to deal with?
The Milky Way.
Oof. I mean, that's not directly what I meant, but that's
It's a good answer.
that's a good fucking answer.
We're living in it, brother. We're living in it. Welcome to your nightmare.
Oh my God, that is funny. I started thinking that, and then the candy bars, and yeah, that goes all sorts of weird shit.
Right here on Earth.
Oh
Right
my
here,
God,
right now.
dude. Look, man, this has been our time. I'm gonna have one last finale question, but this is your opportunity to tell everybody what you have going on, what's coming up. Maybe some advice for everybody as far as in the weird times that we're in. This is your opportunity, Thomas. Thank you.
Tomorrow is my 36th birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday,
And
man.
thank you. And some of those years I didn't think I was going to make it through. It's hard at times for everyone right now.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to be bummed out right now or feel how you feel right now. It's okay to feel upset. It's okay to be frustrated. Let's just make sure that we're taking out our frustrations in a proper way, together, as people, because I want to see the world grow, man. I want to see bands back on the road too. So
Mm-hmm.
I always say, my dad had a saying growing up, behave and be great. Like, he'd always say that to me. And, so my sign off whenever I do my streams on Twitch is like, take care of yourself and others, behave and be great. So
Wow.
that's just kind of like my motto I live by. And I guess that's it, man. Like,
I love that.
keep your eyes peeled.
Okay. Keep watching. You got
Ears
some stuff
open.
up your sleeve.
Yep. Always have a good hook in the tuck too. Always have a good chorus on hand. In case.
Okay.
In case you
Nice.
need it.
Get no tight spot. You're like,
You might need that chorus. You might need a hook. You never know when you might need to bust it out.
Nice. I love that. Awesome. All right, so in this finale, I was trying to do a little digging. I was trying to think of what I could come up with, something a little bit original, not the same old bullshit. So I started looking into the history behind Mukilteo. I looked into it, and It's apparently a translation of an Indian word. Mukilteo translates into long gooseneck, possibly referring into like an island or something with a lighthouse on it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say, or others interpret it as a means as far as like a good camping ground. Have you heard either of these things?
Good camping ground.
That's what you're going with.
I've heard that one. Yeah.
Okay.
That would be my Jeopardy answer. That would be my final answer.
Okay, nice. So with that, let's say that you are making a horror movie and you're scoring this horror movie and it takes place on a camping ground. What type of a villain are you going to have in this bad boy?
On a camping ground?
Yep. I'm going to pick your brain, dude, because you got a lot of shit going on up there.
There's so many areas that this could go, You could go with the cheesy horror film and like the camp counselor, you know what I'm saying? Or you could go with a hunter of some sort, like the crazed hunter.
Okay.
That starts killing people.
Yeah.
I don't know, but or you could go with the classic right there in front of your face and have like a bear or a mountain lion, which would be actually probably where I would head, because man, there's not enough like solid animal films being made these days,
Totally agree.
Like Homeward Bound, man. Solid animal film, what I'm saying?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm
don't harm them though. Don't harm any of these animals in the shooting of your horror film, please.
Oh my god. Jesus
your horror rendition of Homeward Bound.
Dude,
good
seriously,
ground,
so funny, but goddamn, I mean, what a solid movie. As far as an animal movie, you can't go.
No animals were harmed. No animals were harmed in the shooting of Homeward Bound.
Oh my
ladies
god,
and gentlemen.
After watching that movie, have you ever thought of a golden retriever any differently than that guy's voice?
100%. No, that's
Anytime you think of a golden retriever talking, it's got to be that old, like, loyal fucking shadow voice, dude.
it has to be. All right.
Oh my God.
Shit.
Look, Thomas, this has been absolutely amazing, man. I can't take any more of your time. I truly, truly
Dude.
appreciate this. This has been amazing. I hope to keep in touch, and good luck with your endeavors. I'm excited to be picking up whatever else you got coming out, my man.
Yeah, man. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll do this again sometime soon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, man. You stay safe. You take care. Lo-Fi Horror Guy, my dude, Thomas Erak. Check out The Shoreline. Check out all this shit. You got Just Like Vinyl, The Fall of Troy, Push Over.
Yeah.
Dear Lord. So much
Impending
great shit,
Doom
man.
coming.
Impending Doom.
Coming.
All right, man. You
Later.
take care. Have a
Peace.
good one. And happy birthday tomorrow.
Thank you.
He's a lo-fi horror guy. Yeah, he's kind of a guy, but he is so lo-fi, a horror guy. Yeah. Lo-fi horror guy has been recorded in front of a live studio audience.